How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Liberty Hour, streaming through Spreaker Studio and the A2 Jack YouTube channel. I am Aaron Jackson. I'm back here with my good friend Ricardo Navarrete, and we were talking a little bit about seizures and epilepsy relating to a story that was in the State Hornet, the Sac State newspaper earlier today, about a student dying on campus from a seizure. And go ahead and continue with what you were saying, sir.
Okay, no, dude, yeah, just a quick recap. Like, as I was saying, I had seizures as a kid, and I hadn't had one since a year and a half ago. It's been 2 years at this point. No, yeah, it's a year and a half ago. But I got scans for it because I went to Kaiser through medical care and all that stuff. And it turns out that, like, my brain functionality, everything was fine. Like, I had nothing wrong. There was nothing wrong, like, with my brain. I guess it had just been from me losing sleep and, like, constantly stressing out and always, just feeling like pressured to do something. And that, like, really took a toll on me, all the weight from school and not sleeping and staying up late and just doing things. And then it finally got to me after finals week, after, like, struggling and trying to pass all my engineering classes. And then, well, I'm sure you already know because you had to live through it. But on my 21st birthday, I like to tell everybody that I blacked out, and they'll just assume that I'm talking about from drinking. But no, as you know, I just had a random seizure. And the thing is, I swear to you, dude, like, I had just finished watching like Spider-Man Far From Home 2 days ago that night. I felt kind of dizzy. And then, was it the night? No, it was the night before. The night before I had watched Spider-Man Far From Home. Felt dizzy that night on the way home, which was weird. Threw me off because I hadn't felt like that forever. Because usually a symptom of getting a seizure for me is, feeling nauseous and like I'm going to vomit or like I'm very lightheaded and about to like pass out. Like my eyes are closing and like I just like have a hard time breathing. So I kind of got like the whole lightheaded part, but like I didn't have a hard time breathing or I didn't feel like throwing up, which was weird to me. And then the next day was my birthday. I was like, all right, I'm going to drink today. So I'm going to skip out on taking my medicine for the morning, and then I'll take it the next morning for sure once I get alcohol out of my system for the day. But 2 hours into my birthday, I started feeling a little dizzy. I walked into my room, and then, like, I guess I fell asleep for a good 4 to 6 hours, but I guess I wasn't just asleep. According to everybody, I was, like, spazzing out. I was yelling. I was doing some crazy stuff. I have no idea. But that's the thing is I don't know, like, how to, like, what to do with the situation, like you said, with the Sac State student on Wednesday, because my seizures, I've just always been asleep, and I wake up perfectly normal, and then the next day I'm just super sore. So I've never had, like, a fatal seizure. From what I understand, my doctors have always said that my seizures just happen during my sleep. So I'm assuming what causes them for me is, like, heavy stress and then getting a lack of sleep. So, like, I don't know how to give better advice than to just, keep up with your sleep and stop worrying so much in terms of the kind of epilepsy that I have, which is, I'm pretty sure, different than what happened to the student on Wednesday. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. No, I just, it's crazy, to, hear that story firsthand, obviously coming from somebody who, hasn't ever had to deal with that or has never had any family member affected by that. Because, like, as you mentioned, I obviously was there on your 21st birthday and everything. But I mean, this obviously is a whole different situation. It's just, it's very sad because, you would hope that, most people would, obviously go out on their own terms, very peaceful, understanding of, when it's going to happen. And in this case, like you mentioned, you think you're just going to sleep. In reality, you black out and you go crazy. Like this, unfortunately had to happen to this kid who's like I mentioned, a first semester transfer student to Sac State. But like you said, it's also very hard to kind of, see the signs of that happening too, and it's kind of up to the individual. But I know it's a pretty sad story, and not exactly the way I would want to get the show going. I just found it very interesting, the correlation between that and obviously what you've had to deal with and stuff. So thought I would mention that. Getting on to an issue a little bit away from sadness and actually speaking about the future, back on kind of what we were mentioning earlier about Dimple. Another issue that has to do with the future is electric cars, and not just electric cars, but everything's going to be going on with trying to curb emissions and stuff like that. And this is something that I find very interesting. This is something I've heard about on other podcasts, and I've read some articles about it. This is an article from The Verge. Elon Musk, who is the owner of Tesla, who mainly creates electric cars for people to use, says the Boring Company's first tunnel under LA will open December 10th. The Rapid Transit Tunnel that Elon Musk's Boring Company is, which, by the way, what a terrible name for the company, is digging beneath LA, will open on December 10th, and a free ride will be offered to the public the following night. The 2-mile test tunnel underneath SpaceX's headquarters in Hawthorne, California, is proof of concept for an underground public transportation system, which aims to transport passengers and vehicles beneath congested roadways on autonomously driven electric platforms called skates. The skates will theoretically transport 8 to 16 passengers or one passenger vehicle along magnetic rails at speeds up to 155 miles an hour, Musk tweeted. So, very, very interesting. And, I've seen a lot of things that have been said about in the future, once, everything does go electric, to alleviate traffic in, big urban places like LA, having, underground tunnels for transportation, as long as they're emission free. I think it's a very interesting story. And before I get into a couple of my thoughts on it, I wanted to first, Ricky, get your thoughts. What are your thoughts on this story? And do you think that this is the future of transportation?
Okay, so real quickly, I just want to clarify where is this going to be at? It's going to go from LA to where?
So it's
It's a
under
2 mile test
LA.
tunnel, or is
Two
it
mile
farther?
it's a 2 mile test tunnel under the headquarter SpaceX's headquarters in Hawthorne, California, which is a suburb of LA. So just 2 miles.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm like, because I remember, didn't we talk at one point about something about going from California to Nevada?
So
I don't know what that was
that's a little
about.
bit different. That was like the bullet train. That was the train that was supposed to be,
Mm,
and that was going to be obviously above land, and
mhm.
everything. This is obviously below land in the tunnels.
Okay, yeah, I'm like, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm like, digging that much tunnels, dude, that'd take forever. What's it called? And then also, the second thing I wanted to clarify was, did you say at one point something about transporting passenger vehicles too?
It says it aims to transport passengers and vehicles beneath congested roadways.
Dang, dude, what the heck? I mean, dude, if they can pull this off, like, I don't know, this sounds sketchy to me, but then again, like, every new big change in society is always sketchy and it's always, looked down upon and it's all over the news and people always want to bash on it. And, like, I don't know, dude, like, I really don't know what to think about it. It sounds like it'd be cool, but I feel like I'd just be too nervous to trust it to be going underground at, like, light speeds and just hope everything goes well. Like if that's the case and it does work out, and like over 3 years or so it becomes the norm, then yeah, I could totally see it being the future of transportation. But what do you think? Hmm. Wait, hey, Aaron, can I cut you off real quick, dude? Can you check your mic is on your end real
Oh
quick?
yeah,
Cause
yeah, yeah. My apologies. So,
oh,
my
you're
apologies. I
getting
was
me to repeat
talking.
everything you just said.
Oh, that's all good. For like, I appreciate it. Ricky actually has my Spreaker up, which is helping me as well
Oh, it's
whenever I
because
have any
Aaliyah told me
issues.
too. Like Aaliyah's the one that told me
Well,
that
thank you very
that
much,
was completely
Aaliyah.
silent
I
on your.
appreciate it. Essentially, whenever Ricky talks, what I'm doing is I'm kind of muting myself because I've noticed the last few podcasts I've done, there's a weird. It's not like a crackling noise. It's just like some weird noise that'll get like directed into my mic or something like that. And so I kind of try to mute myself so that doesn't get heard when Ricky is speaking. However, I think that I kind of might just deal with it so that I don't forget to ever unmute myself. So I'll try to make it short and simple. What I was just saying the last minute that you guys did not hear me, and that's that I think that this is a very good idea. I've heard Musk talk about this on the Joe Rogan podcast, along with other podcasting outlets. I think I don't think we'll ever be able to fully transform our energy system to pure electric when it comes to vehicles. However, I think that we will get to a point very soon where there will be enough electric vehicles on the road that are tested to be fully electric that can actually use systems like this to help alleviate the congestion in very popular areas. And I think that if that ends up being something that works out, that's great. My only thing is I don't know if government's going to try to take a piece of that pie like they would with bridges, essentially make people pay to go in those tunnels and stuff like that, or if it's just going to be a pure nonprofit thing to try to help out the community. Overall, though, I do think that it is a very interesting thing going forward for sure. And one other thing that I will say as well is, I've never heard of Hawthorne, California, but as a now that I'm in data journalism this semester at Sac State, one interesting thing about Hawthorne, California, I'll just say real quick, kind of off the issue. Out of all cities with over 60,000 people in California, it has the lowest homeowner rate, which tells me that's a pretty rich place to be buying houses to live, and no surprise, because it's LA. Ricky, you there?
Yeah, yeah, bro. Yeah, totally. Yeah, just may or may not have called Michael real quick to see what he's doing.
Oh, for sure. No, you're good. You're good.
He's on hold right now.
Oh, all good. All good.
All right, I'm sorry, sir. What was the question?
Anyways, no, there was no question. I was just seeing if you
Oh,
were
okay.
there. I was just making
Yeah,
sure
no,
everything
I
was
just
good.
tend to mute it while you talk, so like you don't hear what I'm doing in the background either.
Oh, all good.
Not that I'm, doing anything inappropriate. It's just,
I can see Ricky, and I can confirm he is not doing anything inappropriate on here. By the way, like I mentioned, our good friend Michael Kokkonen will be joining the podcast here shortly as well. Got about 2 minutes or so left in this part, and the next issue we're going to go ahead and get into is actually, let's see, what do I want to talk about next? I've actually got a list. This is the first time I will mention this. I never have like show notes whenever I do these. Obviously, when I have my one at Sac State, I do. I kind of just go off the cuff, but I actually had some stuff I wanted to talk about this time and wrote down some issues. So I'm going to go ahead and get into that, but I do not want to get interrupted again by the time constraint of the 15-minute parts. So I think what I'll go ahead and do is just end part 2 for you guys. We'll be right back here with part 3 with my good friend Ricardo Navarrete and hopefully Michael Kokkonen here soon. I apologize for the audio issue in this part, but we will be right back with part 3. Stay tuned.